All right, so today we're diving deep into the world of the super rich, but not in the way you might expect. We're not like comparing yachts or anything.
Right.
Today, it's about the anxieties that they face,
Yeah.
which shockingly are kind of relatable sometimes.
Yeah.
Our deep dive today comes from a satirical piece, and I will do my best to recall the title in Spanish.
Okay.
No fácil ser rico, ¿sabe? Something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
It translates roughly to, it's not easy being rich. You know, which is hilarious, right?
Yeah.
But it also got me thinking about like the pressures and the expectations that come with that level of wealth.
Well, and it's interesting because I think it uses humor in a way that really highlights how absurd some of those pressures are. And it's easy, for us to kind of look at the worries of the wealthy and be like, oh, whatever.
Right.
But I think when you look a little bit closer, there's a lot to unpack there about, societal expectations and the fear of judgment and even this like search for meaning in a world of, unlimited possibilities.
Yeah.
It's deeper than it looks on the surface, I think.
Totally. And this piece does not hold back. Like it jumps right in and the author is immediately lamenting that their private jet is 3 years old.
Right.
And outdated.
Yeah.
And they're like having an existential crisis over whether or not upgrading would contribute to, waste.
Yeah.
Is technological waste. And I'm just like, how out of touch can you be? And yet
there's almost this like glimmer of recognition there, right?
Yeah.
This hyper awareness of their consumption, almost like a parody of, you know what I mean? Like
yes.
the guilt that some of us might feel upgrading our iPhones every couple of years.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like they're hyper aware of this cycle that they're caught in,
Yeah.
constantly upgrading, replacing, contributing to this culture of excess.
Yeah.
Even while they're like internally conflicted by it.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
That is such a good point. It's like they can't even escape it,
And it speaks to that pressure, I think, to maintain a certain image.
Yes. Yes.
To not be seen as falling behind, even when you're already at like the pinnacle of wealth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's not even just the jet. I mean, this person stresses about like how much caviar is too much caviar.
Right.
What kind of car to drive so the neighbors don't judge.
Right.
They even worry about their 1,000-thread count sheets being, quote, too luxurious.
It's interesting, right? Because it speaks to this need, I think, to project this image of like effortless perfection.
Right.
Which, I mean, as we all know, is like an impossible standard.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
But I think that pressure is like amplified in those upper echelons of society.
Yeah, and it's not just about the stuff. This excerpt goes into, the anxieties of like navigating social circles when you are wealthy.
Yeah, and it's like they talk about the agony of having to choose which charity events to go to.
Yeah.
Because if you go to too many, then you're a show-off and you're just trying to buy yourself good PR.
Right.
But if you don't go to enough,
you're out of touch.
Then you're heartless.
Yeah.
You're out of touch.
Like you can't win.
Yeah.
And it's like every decision, even ones that are supposed to be like well-intentioned,
right,
become this like calculated thing.
Yeah.
Like under a microscope.
Totally.
And you almost start to see why certain people just become like reclusive.
Totally. It's like that loss of anonymity.
Yeah.
And the constant fear of judgment that can come with that level of wealth.
Yeah. You kind of like, I don't know. You start to feel almost, I don't want to say bad for them, but you're just like,
sure.
Is it ever does it ever get easier, or is that just like your life now?
Yeah. You wonder if that becomes the new normal for them.
But even with all of that, like even with the external pressures, this piece also like hints at this deeper, more internal struggle.
There's a part where they're talking about, they're looking at a piece of art.
Okay.
And I think they call it like a deformed chair sculpture or something.
Okay.
And they're just like agonizing over whether it's like truly brilliant,
right,
or like a pretentious waste of money,
right?
Yeah,
it's like even surrounded by all this stuff, they're still like
holy
searching for
meaning.
Yes,
like
it's validation. Like I think it just speaks to this like fundamental human need to feel understood.
Yes,
to find something that like resonates with us on a deeper level.
And I think that this piece is suggesting that need can persist even when your material needs are more than met.
Totally. And then it goes on to talk about, which I thought was hilarious. They were like agonizing over whether or not their pool reflected the sunset perfectly. Yeah. And I was just like, the mental energy that must take.
And it's funny because it goes back to, that paradox of choice we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like having all of the options in the world, while seemingly like that's what we all want, right?
Right.
It can actually lead to
anxiety.
Way more anxiety.
Right.
Less satisfaction with your choices.
Because you're second guessing all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And so I think that when you have the means to have anything be possible, like the stakes just feel higher.
Yes.
Even for these like small decisions.
Right.
Because it's almost like a referendum on your taste,
Right.
Your judgment.
Yes.
Your ability to make the right call when like the options are literally endless.
Right. And you start to...
It's enough to make anyone second guess themselves,
Totally.
Regardless of your bank balance.
Totally. And I think it's so easy to read something like this and just be like, laugh at it.
Yeah.
The absurdity of it all.
Sure.
But I feel like it also just kind of exposes this very raw, totally human side of what it means to be that wealthy. Almost like they're trapped, in this like gilded cage of their own making, surrounded by all the luxury, but still like dealing with insecurities.
Insecurities, self-doubt.
Self-doubt, this pressure to like keep up this facade.
Totally. And I think it challenges that idea that we have, right?
Yeah.
That like money solves all problems. It's this reminder that we all have these shared human experiences.
It's so easy to be envious, right?
Right.
And just focus on
the material stuff.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, if only I had their problem.
If I had their problems, things would be so much better. But
right. But like their problems might be more relatable than we realize.
Exactly. That's the thing.
And I think that what can we take away from this?
Yeah, what can we... Because, like, I don't want to leave people bummed out.
Totally. It's like maybe...
the hope.
Yeah, the hope. Maybe it's a reminder to, like, appreciate the freedom that comes with having less, less pressure to impress, less to lose.
Yeah.
And ultimately, maybe more space to enjoy the moment.
Be present.
Be present.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
I think this is like encouraging us to find that joy in the simple things.
Yeah.
Like find that contentment.
Contentment. Yeah.
In what we have and where we are, and define success for ourselves.
Ooh, define success.
Yeah.
I like that.
Not by what society is telling us it should look like.
On our own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel better already.
Good.
I feel lighter.
Yeah.
It's not a destination, right?
Okay.
Happiness.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just for the wealthy. It's not something you get when...
Yeah.
It's a journey.
Yes.
For all of us.
Oh, I love that. And maybe, like, having a little perspective like this helps us,
Totally.
enjoy it more.
Yeah. Appreciate it more.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's a good place to end.
I think so, too.
All right, everyone. Go forth.
Yeah.
And
find your joy.
Find your joy. Exactly.